Back in the early PBS days of Geographic, I'd met Bob Ballard, who was even then a rising star, oceanographer, explorer, and so forth, and we talked about the Titanic, finding it. He was convinced he could. Um, I think he even jokingly said he'd take me along. Um, but when he did, in fact, locate it, which was the summer of '85, I was doing something else. And I wasn't working for Geographic. I don't know where I was at the time, but I wasn't. Oh, I was doing Believe It or Not. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I figured it was in good hands, that Geographic would be all over it and others. I was really surprised. I got a call from Bob who said he was going out with the submarine Alvin to explore the Titanic within a few weeks. And he had tried to make a deal with Geographic and others, but it had all fallen through, and he wanted me to go as the producer-director on the expedition, paid, if necessary, by him. So I went to see him, and we talked about this, and this is one of those missed opportunities I'm talking about, because Bob was baffled. He couldn't understand why he couldn't make a deal, um, and he had an expedition to run. He knew that it would be great film and television. He knew that it should be done, and if I had simply said, Bob, leave it to me, I'll take care of it. Will you just let me have the rights to this? Um, just the TV show, say, TV rights. It would have been as easy as pie. I mean, he was ready to sign anything if I'd just get with him and help him sell it. And, if I had any real entrepreneur in my spirit, I certainly should have. But I wanted to make sure I got paid, and I wanted to make sure that it was the crew that I needed, and it all seemed difficult. I came back here as I was negotiating with Bob's lawyer. We were close to a deal, but I still wanted a certain amount of cash before I left town to go on the Titanic expedition. And finally, at the last minute, really with less than a week to go, he did make a deal with Geographic. And Geographic hired me, and all my fears were put to rest, and I suppose a small fortune flew out the window. But it was amazing. I didn't know, no one knew how interested people were in Titanic. And I might have gotten the intimation because I talked to Walter Lord, who wrote A Night to Remember, and he told me the story of his writing career and how he'd done this and how he'd done that. And he was living from hand to mouth, and he wrote A Night to Remember, and never had a hard day in his life after that. And he told me that how he came to write the book, or one of the things that led him to write it, was somebody told him that the Library of Congress said that in terms of popular interest of American readers, the three great subjects were the Civil War, Jesus Christ, and the Titanic. And he thought this must be a popular subject, and he assured me it was. So we were out there, and we found Titanic very easily. Bob had located it the year before. Alvin went down, started bringing up all these amazing pictures, and Bob, being the great PR man that he was, he'd dive all day and talk on the radio all night. So it was a building news story. But I had no idea. And one day, a helicopter came up and picked up a little bit of video we were willing to release. And this is 400 miles at sea. There's only one super-duper oil company helicopter that can do it. 3 networks got together and charted it. So I got a vague idea. And when I way back into Woods Hole after the expedition, I look and I can't even see the breakwater for the people. It was like Lindbergh, It was incredible. We brought the film back here, and it was the only time I've ever been afraid for the security of our material. We put it in a safe at night. The intensity, the lunatics that turned up at our offices. Poor Terry was pushing people away. That was something people really wanted to see. It was amazing. I think in documentary you probably only get that once or twice.